The year was 1983. A small town in Ohio, far away from the noise of big cities, stood quietly by a river. Life here was slow, simple, and harsh. Most people worked in factories, farms, or construction sites. For many, dreams didn't travel far, just from one paycheck to the next. Among these people lived Jack Miller, a man in his early 30s. His hands were rough, his shoulders bent from years of lifting bricks and mixing cement. Every morning before sunrise, Jack tied his worn-out boots, kissed his wife on the forehead, and whispered to his sleeping children, "Someday, you'll live a life better than this. That's my promise." Jack wasn't educated. He had dropped out of school at 14 to support his family. But inside him burned a stubborn belief. Education was a key that could break the chains of poverty. And if he couldn't use that key himself, he would make sure his children did. The construction site was unforgiving. Summers boiled the ground. Winters froze his fingers. Jack carried bricks on his back, mixed cement until his shirt stuck to his skin, and climbed scaffolding with the agility of a man who had no choice but to keep going. Other workers often mocked him. "Jack, you work too hard," one of them laughed. "You think your kids will ever be different? They'll end up here just like us. That's life." Jack just smiled, wiped the sweat from his forehead, and replied, "Every brick I lift is not just for this wall. It's for their future." He had a quiet dignity about him, the kind that came from knowing your struggle meant something bigger than yourself. Jack lived in a tiny two-room house at the edge of town. The roof leaked when it rained, and the heater barely kept him warm in winter. But Jack and his wife, Mary, turned the house into a home filled with love and hope. Mary often worried about their future. "Jack, you work yourself to bone. What if you get sick? What will happen to us?" Jack would take her hands, rough against her soft ones, and say, "If my body breaks, let it break. But as long as I breathe, I'll carry them forward. That's my duty as a father." Their son, Michael, was 8 years old then. Bright, curious, but shy. He loved books more than toys. Whenever Jack returned from work, Michael would run to him with a library book in hand. "Daddy, read this with me." Jack could barely read. The words blurred together, but he tried. Sometimes he stumbled, sometimes he guessed. Michael never laughed at his mistakes. Instead, he looked at his father with admiration, knowing his dad was trying harder than anyone else in the world. In small towns, people talk. The Millers were often the subject of pity or scorn. "Why waste money on books?" neighbors whispered. Jack's boys should learn a trade, not waste time dreaming about college. But Jack never let those words enter his home. "Michael," he said one night as they sat under a dim bulb, "people will always tell you what you can't do. Don't listen. Their vision is small because they stopped dreaming. Yours doesn't have to be." Michael nodded, his little fists clenched with determination. That night, something unshakable grew inside him, the belief that he was meant for more. Money was always short. Jack's weekly wage barely covered food and rent. But when Michael's school announced a special science camp that cost $50, Jack made a choice. He skipped meals, walked to work instead of taking the bus, sold his old watch. At the end of the week, he placed the money in Michael's hands. "Go, learn, experience the world outside this town," Jack said. Michael's eyes filled with tears. He didn't know that his father had gone hungry just so he could attend. All he knew was that his father believed in him enough to make any sacrifice. Life didn't magically get easier. Bills piled up. The roof needed repair. Mary fell ill one winter, forcing Jack to work overtime. His back ached. His lungs grew weak from dust, but he never stopped. Every night, before he collapsed into bed, Jack repeated the same line. "One more day of pain for me. One less day of struggle for them." And Michael watched. He watched every sacrifice, every bruise, every drop of sweat. Deep inside, he made himself a vow. "One day, I'll rise so high that people will remember my father's name with pride. His pain will not be wasted." Michael Miller entered middle school with more curiosity than confidence. His father's sacrifices burned his heart like a secret fire, but the world outside wasn't kind. At school, Michael quickly realized that children could be cruel. His clothes were old, his shoes worn, and he carried second-hand books that smelled of dust. "Hey, Miller," one boy sneered. "Did you borrow that shirt from your grandpa?" The laughter echoed in the hallways. Michael lowered his head. He wanted to disappear. But that night, when he told Jack about it, his father placed a heavy hand on his shoulder. "Son, don't let their words define you. People laugh at what they don't understand. You're not poor. You're rich in something they'll never have. Dreams." Michael nodded, but the sting of humiliation stayed. The teacher's cold words. In 7th grade, Michael's math teacher pulled him aside after class. "Michael," she said bluntly, "you're a hard worker, but kids like you rarely make it. Maybe focus on trade school. College isn't for everyone." Michael walked home with those words echoing in his head. That night, Jack noticed his silence. "What's wrong, son?" Michael hesitated, then told him. Jack's eyes grew hard, his jaw clenched. "Listen to me, Michael," he said firmly. "Teachers can teach you math, but they can't measure your worth. You decide who you become, not them." Michael swallowed his tears. He believed his father more than anyone else. Bills grew heavier. Mary's health declined, and medicine was expensive. Jack started working double shifts at the construction site. He left home before sunrise and returned long after dark. His hands blistered, his back screamed with pain, but he refused to stop. One winter night, Jack stumbled into the house, coughing violently. Michael rushed to him. "Dad, you need rest." Jack waved him off, forcing a smile. "I'll rest when your dreams are built." It happened on a bitterly cold morning. Jack was lifting bricks when his vision blurred. His knees buckled, and he collapsed on the ground. His co-workers panicked. "Call an ambulance." At the hospital, the doctor frowned. "Exhaustion, dehydration, early signs of lung damage. He needs rest. If he keeps this up, he'll collapse again. Worse next time." Jack ignored the warning. That evening, lying in the hospital bed, he whispered to Michael, "Don't let my pain be wasted. Son, turn it into strength." Michael clenched his fists. He promised himself he would. The collapse shook Michael deeply. He realized that every sacrifice his father made was a brick being laid in the foundation of his future. He began to study harder than ever before. While other kids played video games, Michael spent nights reading under the dim light of their small home. He devoured books on science, history, and engineering. One night, Mary found him asleep at the kitchen table, his head resting on open pages. She smiled weakly, whispered, "You're just like your father, tireless,